Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. You with me Arun Sharma, and this is the second in my series of classes on the CAT 21 life problem solving. The first part we are doing is slot 3. I've done one session before this. You can watch that session where I've done the first 3 questions. Those questions I've done on the first session of this, which is there in the playlist. So I've created a playlist for the CAT 21 slot 3 solutions, the quant solutions, and it is also, you will be able to see that in the first video of that playlist. And I'm also starting off this is also part of another playlist that we are doing based on what was requested from some viewers, and that playlist was about creating a playlist of all the quants or all the DI and all the LR sessions, etc., or putting into boxes. So we are starting to do that. There are a lot of videos on the channel, so we are just going to try to make sure that we put all the eggs, all the quants eggs into one basket of the quants playlist, so that if you are looking at content with respect to one subject, you can actually get whatever content we have put out there on the channel. You can actually get it there. Right, so welcome everybody. So today's this thing, I'm going to go to question 4 onwards of this series. But before that, a small bit of promotion about Mindworks. We are starting our next batch of CAT 2022 on 5th March 2022, and our course is actually a mixture of a live curated modules where you can actually watch the pre-recorded videos that I keep doing. One of the videos I've put out, which I've done for my batch, I've also put out on the YouTube channel. That was about number and sum of factors. You can watch that video, and I mean, when you join Mindworks, you get the entire playlist of the entire all the chapters in that format, apart from getting on-demand live classes, etc. So there's a small gift for all the viewers on the YouTube channel today. We're going to give out a promo code which will give you a never before price on the CAT product, on the CAT course, which we'll be giving out towards the end of this session. So do keep yourself live with me till that point of time, right? So without any further ado, without wasting your time much on this, let's go to the first question, and let's start getting into the thought processes required and what kind of processes. And I always tell people that when you're trying to solve questions in the CAT, you actually, or any aptitude exam, not just CAT, you might be giving CSAT, you might be giving IPMAT, you might be giving any aptitude exam you're taking, you might be giving GMAT, GRE, whatever you're taking. Hota kya hai, inside the exam, problem solving inside the exam is very different from problem solving outside, because what happens is inside the exam, once you read the question, you've got a 15-20 second window to decide kisme karna kya hai. So that's why what your focus should be, ki first 15, while reading the question, you should try to get maximum teeth into the problem, and you should be able to pull the problem ahead of where you are, or you should be able to pull the problem into a significant part of your solution during the first reading, so that after the end of the first reading, specifically in arithmetic kind of questions, so that after the end of the first reading, you are almost able to see what you need to do for getting to the answer afterwards. Inside problem solving under pressure, inside the exam, what does not work is that you are trying to solve a question, and then you are trying to take a new approach, and then you are trying to put a second approach or a third approach. Ek approach se nahi hua. You don't have that much time. So it has to be a first approach that comes in your mind, and that approach has to be utilized and getting to the answer. So it's like you read the question, you've got a 15-second window where you decide what you want to do, and the good people qualify these exams or do well in these exams because that in their mind or the ability to think in those 15 seconds and carry out what they have thought through in those 15 seconds is superior to others. So when you are preparing for this exam or any other exam, any aptitude exam, you're basically training your mind for those 15 seconds, and you're also training your mind for the first reading. And it's demonstrated. I'm going to demonstrate that to you as we go ahead into these questions. So the first question here, I think you can read this. Question from Nishant is, can an engineer make it to the IIMS or FMS? Yes, you can. So let's come back to this. One part of a hostel's monthly expenses is fixed and the other part is proportional to the number of boarders. So when you read this first statement, and you have to keep reacting with the statement. So when you read the first statement, what you realize is that there's a part of the hostel expenses which is fixed and the other part varies. The variable part varies with the number of boarders. This is what is mentioned in this question. आगे क्या बोल रहे हैं? The hostel collects 1600 per month from each boarder, right? So this, I mean, one of the things that I keep telling you about is that when you're reading a question, you have to keep track of what variables are being introduced. So when we are talking about this part, currently the variable being talked about is the cost, right? Your first statement में यहाँ पे the cost variable is being talked about. Expenses variable. And when you look at the second statement, the hostel collects 1600 per month from each boarder. If you're sharp with your variables, you realize that this is the revenue variable. So you realize that the revenue, what you have written as fixed plus variable is basically the structure of the expenses, but the revenue is 1600 per boarder. That's what they are telling us in the second statement. आगे क्या बोल रहा है? When the number of boarders is 50, the profit of the hostel is rupees 200 per boarder. Now let's use this before we move ahead, because the question goes ahead to when the number of boarders is 75, the profit of the hostel is 250 per boarder. Let's try to use this information. When the number of boarders is 50, the profit of the hostel is 200 per boarder. So obviously when you have introduced revenue and you have introduced cost, the next variable, the obvious variable is profit. And what they are telling me is that at 50 boarders, the profit is 200 per boarder. So at 50 boarders, the profit is 10,000. And since you know that the hostel is charging 1600 per boarder, at 50 boarders, you can also calculate the revenue, because this 50 also connects to the revenue. So what you get is a reaction that the total revenue is 80,000, which basically means that the cost would be 70,000. This is the reaction that gets set off from the trigger that you've just seen, that at 50 boarders, the profit per boarder is 200 rupees. That's the reaction. 50 boarders, profit per boarder 200 rupees means the total profit is 10,000. If the total profit is 10,000 and the revenue you can straight calculate based on revenue per boarder into number of boarders. So if you can calculate the revenue straight, you know the profit, you know the cost also. So at 50 boarders, when the number of boarders is 50, you got 70,000 rupees as the cost. And essentially the cost, if you look at the cost variable, the cost is part fixed and part variable. And the variable cost varies as the number of boarders. So I can think of this as 50 into x, where x is the cost per boarder. F into 50 into x is 70,000. This is my reaction at this point in this question. Now, when I move ahead, the question further says, and when the number of boarders is 75, the profit of the hostel is 250 per boarder. So what this is telling me is that when the number of boarders goes to 75, the profit of the hostel goes to 250 per boarder. So now if my revenue at 50 people is 80,000, my revenue at 75 people will become 1,20,000. My revenue at 75 people will become 1,20,000. Right? Because there's a 50% increase in boarders. I don't need to calculate 75 into 1600. वो मैं 50% increase से कर सकता हूँ. Number of boarders 50% बढ़ा है तो revenue भी 50% बढ़ेगा, because the revenue per boarder is constant. And my profit is 75 बोर्डर्स के लिए 250 रुपीज़ पर बोर्डर प्रॉफिट है, तो उसको कैलकुलेट करो। कैसे कैलकुलेट करना चाहिए? 75 को 4 से डिवाइड कर दो, 18.25, 18.75, and then obviously see, because if you see this, let me just show this to you on a fresh screen. When you want to do 75 into 250, because these are speed breakers inside the exam. 75 into 250, 250 effectively is 1000 by 4. So if you, instead of doing this multiplication, which is tedious, if you do this, you can see 18.75 immediately, and then you put the 1000 back, so it is 18,750. So what do you realize in our situation at this point is that at 75 borders, f plus 75x, because my profit is 18,750, my profit is 18,750, 75 by 4 is 18.75, so my profit is 18,750 and my revenue is 1,20,000. So my cost is 1,01,250. That's the cost. Now we are in a classic two equations to unknown situation here. F plus 50x is 70,000. F plus 75x is 1,01,250. Now of course I can go ahead and solve this simultaneously to get f and x, and then everything will be available to me in this case. But there's a shortcut available here again, that if you want to find x, what you can see is that the f is constant in both places. So this growth that is happening of 31,250, this growth is happening because of 25x. So if you can just see that logic here, 25x is 31,250, so the value of x is 31,250 upon 25. Now again, when you want to divide by 25, you can basically you have to do this calculation now. 31250 divided by 25. So 25 can be thought of as 31250 divided by 100 by 4. So the 4 will go up, and you basically have 312.5 into 4, which is a much easier calculation. So what you see is that 1250 rupees is the value of x. So what is the question being asking me? So the question is asking, when the number of borders is 80, so I'm going to increase 5 borders more. And what I now realize is that every border gives me 350 rupees extra, because I'm taking a revenue of 1600 and I'm spending 1250 rupees. The moment I know x, I see that. So when I take 80 borders, what is the total profit in the hostel? That's the question. So 5 borders will increase my profit by 350. My current profit was 18,750. 5 borders will increase my profit by 350. So 1750 will be the profit increase. So 18,000 1750 पे 1750 profit increase करेंगे, तो 20,500 इधर profit आएगा. The options were 20,200, 20,000, 20,500 or 20,800. So 20,500 is the answer. So this was a short circuit of the last part of the problem, जहाँ पे हम लोग क्या करते हैं, normally what people would do is they would solve these two equations for f and x and then find the value of the profit at 80 people. The conventional way will be this: the profit, once you find f and x from here, two equations, two unknowns, simultaneous solving, f and x you can find, and once you find f and x, the cost at 80 people is f plus 80x. You can take that out if you know the value of f and x, and the revenue at 80 people is 1600 into 80. You can take the revenue out, you can take the cost out, revenue minus cost will give you the answer. But that's a very long way to do this question, especially if you have understood this fact that 25 people are increasing the cost, 25 people are increasing the cost by 31,250. So you do a quick calculation there to get that value of 1250 as the value of x, and that means 1600 revenue, 1250 variable cost. That means 350 rupees you are spending on or earning because of every new student in the hostel. So 5 more people give you an earning of 1750. So that is the shortest thought that got you the answer in this question. Chalo, next question dekhte hain. And this question, with this thinking, you can actually do this question in approximately maybe around 1.5 to 2 minutes. That's the time frame for this question. The next one is something that you can finish off while reading. How? Let's see. The question here says, in a tournament, a team has played 40, and these are all CAT 21 questions, 3 marks each, every time you get through into an answer. In a tournament, a team has played 40 matches so far and won 30% of them. Solve while reading this. And in a tournament, a team has played 40 matches so far and won 30% of them. So, a team has played 40 matches and won 30% of them. That means it's played 40 and won 12. And that's 30%. That's the starting reaction, right? Now, the question further says, if they win 60% of the remaining matches, the overall win percentage will be 50%. Now, this is where you actually, if you can visualize the allegation structure inside this, the weighted average structure, you have a group of games. You have a group of games in which you have a 30% win rate. You have another group of games in which you have got a 60% win rate. And when you combine these two games, these two matches, the number of matches in these two, in the overall matches, you get a 50% win rate. So this can only mean 30 and 60 combining to give you 50 can only happen if you use allegation. This can only happen if the number of matches ka ratio is 1:2. Which means that you've got 80 matches more to play. Right? If you're not very confident of that, once you get the 80 from there, you can think about this. If I win 80% of the 60% of 80 matches, I'll be playing 120 matches and I'll be winning 48 matches. So my win rate will be 60 matches out of 120. So my win rate is 50%. Does work. Right? And this is the fastest way to get this. There are of course other ways to get this number. Ki 80 matches yahan khela hoga. There are other ways to get this number. The worst way maybe would be to write an equation and do it. So I can think of another way to do this, where I say that 40% matches may you won 30%, so you won 12 matches. The remaining n matches you're winning 60%, and in 40 plus n matches you're winning 50%. So if you use the equation 30% of 40, that's 12 plus 0.6n is equal to 40 plus n into 0.5. इसको भी solve करोगे तो you will get the value of 80 for n, because if you solve this you will get 12 plus 0.6n is equal to 20 plus 0.1n plus 0.5n. So इसको solve करोगे तो 0.1n is 8, so n is 80. But of course this solution where the allegation gives it to you while reading, if you get it in 5 to 7 seconds, this solution will take you around 1.5 minutes here. So it will be a speed breaker if you're going to use this solution in this situation. So either way, whichever way you use it, you have to get to this point in this problem that they must have played 80 matches more. And once you resolve that, the question is actually very simple. They say suppose they win 90% of the remaining matches, then the total number of matches won by the team in the tournament will be. So what they're saying is that in this last remaining matches, you're winning not 60% but 90%. So if you win 90% here of 80, you will win 72 matches. So the total matches won in the tournament will be 84, and that's the answer to this question. And believe it or not, this is CAT 2021, 3 marks inside it. People come out of the exam saying that bahut tough paper tha, etc. You can see how any 9th standard kid should be able to solve this question, right? And this is an example of why you need to get your allegation thought structure sorted out when you're solving when you're going for this exam or any aptitude exam for that matter. I'm going to do a similar series on the CSAT exam. A lot of people have been asking that. Mindworks pe we have also started the CSAT coaching because a lot of people wanted it. So we have a subscription model in CSAT, and just for those of you who are just coming in, reminding you, just wait till the end of the session. We're going to give you a lovely offer for our CAT courses with a promo code which will be valid only till midnight tonight, and you will be able to register for the course with that promo code, and we will be continuously bringing you promo codes from now on the channel for our CAT courses, etc. Let's look at the next question. A 4-digit number is formed by using only the digits 1, 2 and 3. So this question is going to check your ability to think straight and your ability to think structured inside a situation. And this was a theta question, so you don't have the benefit of knowing that your answer is part of the options or not, right? So a 4-digit number is formed by using only the digits 1, 2, 3 such that both 2 and 3 appear at least once. So two conditions. You're using only the digits 1, 2, 3. And the second condition is 2 and 3, both 2 and 3 appear at least once. So what two conditions? You are using only 1, 2, 3. So you are going to make a 4-digit number, 3 conditions actually. You're going to make a 4-digit number using the digits only the digits 1, 2, 3 are used in the number. Only the digits 1, 2, 3 are used, and 2 and 3 has to be used at least once. So you have to use at least 1, 2 and at least 1, 3. So this is clearly a question from permutation combination. It's a question where you have to find out how many ways or how many numbers you can make. Obviously that's what the question is going into. The number of all such 4-digit numbers is, and as I said, in this question you don't have the cushion of the options. What do I mean by the cushion of the options? When you're solving a question and it has got some vague numerical value answer, where you can miss out things, etc., and you are in a tight spot inside the exam, your ability to see that you got an answer which is part of the options actually provides you a cushion. Even if you got the wrong answer, you feel better about it when you do that. So that's in this context that I wanted to I talk about the cushion of the options not being there in the theta question, right? But one thing that a lot of people ask me, बहुत सारे questions में theta अगर तुम देखोगे, if you small word about theta, I'm deviating from this question. If you look at the theta non-option based questions over the last 7-8 years, ever since they appeared in the first I think 2015 or 16 when they appeared, not exactly remember the year. So if you look at the history of the theta questions, you will see that all the theta questions are questions which have where even after removing the options there's a logical solution to it. So what happens in some questions, if you remove options, then there's only a very strong mathematical option available to you, mathematical process available to you. So वैसे क्वेश्चन में आप देखोगे थीटा नहीं हटाया गया है, थीटा नहीं बनाया गया है. It's always, theta is always made in questions where even if you remove the options, the logical